Hi friends, it's Rabbi Briskin with a thought for Shabbat and a couple thoughts about the end of Passover. Now you may be wondering, why do some Jews observe Passover for 7 days and why do some observe for 8 days? Well, let's begin with the Torah. The Torah specifically declares that the festival of Passover is a 7-day festival, the first day and the last day being holy days that are like Shabbat, and on those 7 days, one should not eat leavened products. However, we know that in diaspora communities, really for the last 2,000 years or so, those outside of Israel have observed Passover for 8 days. And you may be wondering why. Well, the rabbis of the Talmudic era established a law that said that Jews should observe a second day of the festival if they live outside of Israel. And all of this was related to the Jewish calendar and the proclamation of the new month. You see, in ancient times, when a new month was called, word would go out from Jerusalem to far-flung communities that the month was beginning on that day. But sometimes it would take a long time for word to reach it far outside of Jerusalem, and people might have been beginning the holiday, or the new month, a day or so late. So what the rabbis decided was to make sure that no one was inadvertently violating the Chag, the festival day. They just added a second day for those who live in the diaspora, just as a bit of a buffer, as a bit of a cushion, just to make sure that everyone was observing the right way on the right days, or more or less the right days, and no one was inadvertently violating the commandments of the day. So how that applies now for us in our community is this. We've been living with fixed times and a fixed calendar for a couple thousand years at this point. And we know exactly when the new month begins. We don't need to wait for word to come forth from Jerusalem to say that a new month has begun. We know when the month of Nisan begins. We know when Passover begins. We can count 7 days from there. And that principle of 7 days has been embraced by the Reform movement since our inception almost 175 years ago. What that means is that Reformed communities in North America observe 7 days, very much in line with the way that Israelis observe Passover, whether they are Reformed, Conservative, or Orthodox, for 7 days. The 8-day observance of the festival is a long-standing custom in Jewish communities outside of Israel, Conservative and Orthodox communities in particular here in North America, who continue to observe 8 days. Now this is why tomorrow night, at the end of the 7th day of Passover, here at Shir Me in our Reformed community, we are going to be introducing bread and pasta and grains and leavened products back into our diet with a festive bread fest before our Rock Shabbat service. But yet we know that for our friends who observe 8 days, they will not be able to eat dinner with us. And for that we apologize, but we also want to adhere to our prevailing Reformed traditions here at Shir Me. So what I hope this means is that for those who observe 7 days, please join us. Please eat, drink, and be merry with us as we celebrate the end of Passover. For those who observe 8 days, it still is the beginning of the festival, of the 2-day festival. So please join us and be festive and merry with us. We know that our Oneg Shabbat will feature some kosher for Passover pastries and desserts for you to enjoy. But the bottom line is that we come together as a community. We come together as one people on our festival days to celebrate the joy of our festival of freedom as we begin counting the days of the Omer till Shavuot, 7 weeks hence. And that will be a topic for another Thought for Shabbat or Thought for Shavuot in the weeks ahead. So Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. Whether you observe 7 days of the festival or 8, I hope that the end of your Pesach is free and liberating. Shabbat Shalom.